Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this really beautiful, sunshiny day in Southwest Virginia. I live in the very far corner of Virginia near the Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia line. And I got to tell you, the fall changing of colors of the mountain ranges just completely inspire me. Water, earth, sky, those elements to me are very inspirational. And I love the fluidity of them, the textures, the feel, the smells. Everything as the seasons change really inspire me. I wanted to show you today how I mix, how I have found that I can mix my Arteza paints. They are so rich and vibrant and such deeply pigmented paints that this little tube, 22 milliliter tube, 0.74 fluid ounces, goes a very, very long way. I've tested this on some cardstock and I've extended it out just about as far as I'm really kind of afraid to go any further with it. But I have found a recipe that makes gorgeous, rich, vibrant, still very thick paints. I believe for some processes, like for a Dutch pour, I'm going to have to add a little bit of water to them. In that case, I always use my 90% water, 10% Floetrol mixture to thin them down to consistency, because with certain types of fluid art, your paints need to be a little bit thicker, some they need to be a little bit thinner. But on these bottles, I go ahead and I label the Arteza paint number, the name, the light fastness rating, and the opacity. That way, when I'm picking up a bottle of paint and I'm trying to decide what color combinations to use, I know which are opaque, I know which are semi-transparent, and I know which are transparent. I know what'll work well together. So I've already mixed up a slew of colors, everything from this beautiful pearl copper gold. You guys, look at this. These paints, I can show you. Let me shake this so that it's in the lid. Even with the volume that I've made, these paints don't drip. They do not drip. They are gorgeous. Look at the shimmer on this. I'm so excited to get to use these paints. Let me kind of show you with water before I actually put the paint in here. This is a recycled Gatorade bottle. This is a 12-ounce bottle. Believe it or not, that first ridge line on these bottles is literally 8 ounces. I don't know if Gatorade realizes or not, but these incremental stages on the outside of the bottles literally are ounce markers. So that's my 8-ounce marker. I know for a fact that that's the case because there's 8 ounces or 1 cup of water. I can pour that in there and it will come right up to my 8-ounce line. Look at that. Perfect. Dump that back out. Hopefully I won't lose my marbles. I didn't lose my marbles. Okay, let me get that out of the way. For the purpose of mixing today, I didn't have a lot of my pouring medium that's already got Floetrol mixed into it. This one is a 60% Elmer's glue all, 30% water, distilled water, and 10% Floetrol. I did have some, but I had more of my 70-30 Elmer's glue all, 30% water mixture. So what I did, because I do want some Floetrol in these paints, I have a graduated measuring cup, which is 1 ounce of this marking right here is 1 ounce. This is a 2-ounce measure, 1.5, and 2-ounce measure for salad dressings. If you're watching how much dressing you're putting on your salads, this is a really great little thing to use. But for this case, I used 1 ounce of Floetrol to each one of these bottles. I prepared my bottles in advance. I went ahead and put my Floetrol in them with my marble. And then I added 7 ounces of my pouring medium. I've tested it with 4 ounces. I tested it with 5, 6, and 7. And it's 7 ounces of pouring medium to 1 ounce of Floetrol. These colors were still just as rich and vibrant. Look at this. This is now 8.74 ounces of paint. Look at this color. This is Bordeaux red. You guys, look at how vibrant. It is not dripping. I just shook this up. This is not dripping out of the lid. I think these are some of the most highly pigmented paints I've ever seen. This is phthalo blue. Look at that. Look how rich and colorful. I mean, no drips at all. They're incredible. I don't know how they do it. I do not know how Arteza does it, but these are incredible paints, and I cannot wait to put them on canvas. Now, I'm going to show you how I mix this, but first, I thought, if you're like me, once I find something that works, I like to stick with it. So for me, I have basic pouring medium recipes that I use. I take the time to measure that so I don't have to be as precise maybe when I'm doing things like this with mixing. But it really helps that once I measure one or two and I know where to go, I can mark it on the bottles and I know exactly what to mix to. But I kind of have a cheat sheet and I thought it might be helpful for you. But when I'm making my Elmer's Blue Wall pouring medium mixture, I have a little breakdown. If I'm making a quart or if I want to make a half gallon or a gallon, I already have it broken down what I need. Feel free to take a screenshot of that. And as well, down in the description of my video today, I'm going to put these recipes down in the bottom. Now, because I also sometimes, depending on the paint that I'm using, want to use a pouring medium that has the Floetrol in it. So I've also made a card and a cheat sheet that gives you the recipe based upon how much you want to make at a time. These are really handy. I pull these out all the time and use them just because I reuse my plastic bottles. I reuse the quart bottles. I reuse the gallon bottles. When I take a gallon of Elmer's Glue All and I mix it with my water, I just keep these empty gallons and I know exactly how much by ounces, how many ounces of glue and how many ounces of water I need. If I'm making a quart jar or a quart bottle of my pouring medium and I want the Floetrol in it, I know how many ounces of Elmer's Glue All, how many ounces of water, and how many ounces of Floetrol I can use. Now for today's paint mixing, this is the ratios that I came up with that works really well. And like I said, even for some of these styles that we do, like a Dutch pour, where you want the paints to be a little bit thinner, I will add Floetrol and water mixture to that to thin these paints out. That's the card for this. This is exactly what I'm getting for these paints. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my 1 ounce of Floetrol. Actually, what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll use some of this because I already have it mixed, my Floetrol, my water, and my glue. I'll go ahead and use this one. And I'm going to add this up to my graduated mark right here. I'll just go ahead and pour this in. Creamy. I've shaken it really, really well. I strain. That kind of looked like something thick just went through there, so I'm going to have to watch this. But I strained with an old stocking my Floetrol before I poured it into my bottles. So there you go, right up to the line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paint, I'll squirt it in. Look how it just sits on top of that. It's so thick and so creamy. This is Prussian green. +3 light fastness, and this is a semi-transparent. Now, because I don't have a tube squeezer, I've gone old school. I use the back of a knife. I just press it and I push that paint all the way to the end of the tube. And I squeeze that bad boy until I can't get anything else out of it. Look at that, there's still a lot of paint in there. I'm going to flip it over and squeeze from this direction. You guys probably think I'm crazy, but this stuff is like liquid gold to me. I waited for quite a while to try this paint. I really wanted to practice quite a bit with things like Loft and Liquitex Basics, and I even have some crafts paint that I sometimes will do like 11 by 14 canvas board paintings on that my granddaughter and I paint together quite a bit sometimes, and we really enjoy that. But I get all of that paint that I can get out of that tube. Throw that in the garbage. Then I'm going to put the lid on this and give it a shake. Look at that color. Oh, look at that. Nothing left in the bottom. That marble really, really helps mix these up. And then look at this. Look at that color. It is not dripping. It is still thick, still rich, still vibrant, and flows beautifully on canvas. I've done that with all of these colors, and I'm really, 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 really happy with them. I'm loving this mid yellow. Look at this gorgeous Indian yellow. It is absolutely stunning. I cannot wait to put this color on canvas. Look at that. Still thick, still creamy, still rich. And I now have 8.74 ounces of paint from that tiny little 0.74 milliliter tube. I hope this has been helpful to you. I did the testing to see how far I could take this and extend that paint. I don't know if I want to go any further than a 7-part pouring medium, 1-part floetrol ratio out in these paints. I'm a little bit afraid to try to take it any further, but the richness and vibrancy of these colors blows my mind. This is sangria red. Look at that. It's like fall leaves. These are all I see when I see these colors. Look at this copper. Look at this pearl copper gold. Look at that. It's incredible. Incredible. I don't know how Arteza does it. Prussian blue, Payne's gray. This is one of my other favorite colors. Look at this, you guys. This does not drip. It is still thick, rich, and vibrant. The mountains are speaking to me, and I think that I must paint. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've done here, and I hope that it's helpful to you. I look forward to putting these paints on canvas and trying some different styles. I really want to try some injection pours. I really love fluid art. It has become an absolute passion for me. It is really relaxing, very calming. I do deep breathing exercises and listen to music and try to calm myself and center my focus before I paint. I'm not sitting in the middle of the room, practicing yoga, although that probably wouldn't hurt. I just find such peace and calm in being able to paint. It's a huge stress reliever. It really helps me focus my energy on something positive instead of some of the more difficult circumstances that I've been facing in the past year. I'm not going to get into details, but it has been a very challenging year for me physically, mentally, and emotionally. And this has really brought a lot of happiness and joy back to my spirit. So I hope that what I'm doing is somehow blessing you. Maybe it might inspire you. Maybe some of these colors you'll look at and say, oh, I've got to try these. The Arteza box of 60 is what I bought. They had a 10% coupon code that I used, and I jumped on it. I could not be happier. I cannot wait to be mixing these colors up and be using these. I suspect when it's all said and done, Arteza is probably going to be the only paint that I use for a very long time. But have a beautiful Sunday. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do, if you like what I'm doing, please feel free to give me a thumbs up on the video. Please feel free to subscribe. Join me in my art community here on YouTube. My sole purpose in this is not only to give myself inspiration and find a little joy in my own spirit, but to share that with all of you, to maybe inspire you to bring a little joy and beautiful artwork into your life. Even if you don't want to paint, if you enjoy watching these, they're very relaxing to watch. I hope you do enjoy them. But for now, feel free to subscribe. Check my description in the link below. I put all of the paint pouring recipes down there as well. My Instagram account is linked. You can find me and follow. I post all of my artwork there as well as here to YouTube. My email address is there. If you feel like you have a couple questions and you don't want to put it in the comment section here, feel free to email me. I'm happy to respond. I answer everybody, and I'm so very, very thankful for all of the beautiful comments that I've been getting and all of the kindness. This is an amazing art community, and I feel very blessed to be a part of it. Have a happy, joyful, beautiful Sunday, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.